Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Enlightenment podcast, where we talk about ideas that transform your life. Today I'm joined with Pippa, my YouTube subscriber and also a YouTube content creator, and we're going to talk about something very unique and interesting. Well, I'll let you introduce the topic. Tell us what is this subject?
So the subject is how to get enlightened by group practices, or if it's possible. Maybe that's the question.
Mhm.
Um, I raised this question because I have friends who work with a guru who focuses on group practice only, and I don't know his name. I should actually check that, but yeah, they always do practice in group settings and feel the field, the empty space between people, and from there on start building towards group consciousness and then eventually go beyond that as well. And I was wondering if you, Shiva, have thoughts on that and experience with that, maybe.
So tell me more. What does this look like? Give me an example. How does this work?
So these friends introduced me to this practice, but on a very basic level. So the things that I participated in were settings in which we did emergent dialogue, for example. That's a coined term, I think. You can look it up on the internet. And it's basically sitting in a circle with people and feeling into the whole group. So it starts off with practices. What is the difference between me feeling my own body and mind and centering in this space, or opening up a bit to the whole group setting? And then the second question is what happens if we all just keep our attention in this empty field that is between us, um, and try to just talk about what is happening there and how it changes, how the energy changes because of us talking about it. Um, and well, my experience with this is that it makes you very well. Many different things happen. So sometimes it makes you very ecstatic, and um, sometimes one person start challenging, um, well, no, channeling a specific aspect of the group, or that's the way it seems, like as if they start embodying something that is present in the group consciousness
Mm-hmm.
somehow. And we did this in an artistic project or as part of an artistic project of a month. And by doing this regularly, it also got very easy to uh, hear other people's thoughts, and like you really become a group consciousness, or there is some kind of interbeing. And um, what struck me about this is that we did it with people who have no spiritual interest, or at least some of them were very, very new to anything, and they had the same experience very quickly. So it was quite powerful and eye opening to them, and also to me in other ways. So, yeah.
Interesting. First, I want to share something that Teal Swan says, especially when she's giving talks or seminars. And she asks the audience, okay, everybody, tell us some questions that you have. And everybody raises their hand. And then she kind of scans the audience and says that one. And she says that the collective consciousness chooses which person has the best answer, who energetically vibes the most. And that's where the attention goes. Okay, everybody wants this question to be answered. And she kind of chooses very carefully and specifically. So this is the first thing that comes to mind when you said this group consciousness. Yes, it's definitely a real thing because we're part of nature, and you look at nature, like for example, bees, they're very much closely knit. Same with human beings. You have a collective consciousness and conscious or a group karma. As far as me, I've never experienced this before. I'd love to delve in deeper exactly what you're talking about. Excuse me. And get a better feeling of what this is. So maybe you can run me down through the whole program, what it's like, and what the instructions are, so I get a better feeling of what this is.
Um, okay, I can try. So we started off with this dialogue practice, right? Where we were just sitting in a circle, feeling into uh, this shared field. Then we did a lot of physical practices in which we're just in a space and walking, and then becoming intuitively aware of how how energy moves between you. And so, for example, you're just walking with, say, 12 people in a space, and you're just walking randomly at first. And then you try to just open your senses to where other people are and see if you walk differently. That's basically the only instruction. Um, and then you start noticing differences because you actually become more aware of where people are, and that, yeah, sometimes there's this effect of bouncing off or going towards or filling gaps or whatever. Um, Another practice that we did was stand in front of a person and feel their energy, then close your eyes, walk in the space, and try to find this person again intuitively. So just scan the space with your awareness and eyes closed and try to find that same presence. Those kind of things where you, mm, yeah, where it's all about finding, or activating other ways of perceiving people than you normally would. And then what we did in the end was just sit in a circle and kind of observe the absurdity of just sitting there and centering your attention on what is happening between everyone. And then it becomes very, very clear that there's a lot happening actually.
Mm.
Um, and everything that you feel in yourself is stronger and more like I could really feel when I was sitting there. I sometimes had similar experiences as sitting in Vyanalinga, just bodily wise, where there's just energy like moving upward, and I could see myself doing this like for an hour, just sitting
Mm.
there with random people, only because you accept that in the field between you and in shared consciousness, there's also just a lot more energy, and somehow the sum of all your energies and consciousness, if you choose to focus them together, become a source of power. I think that's the principle.
Yeah, it sounds to me like what you're doing is energy work or perceiving and feeling energy. That's the whole premise of the group. Absolutely, that's very wise to do, and you should become aware and competent. And yes, it can lead to awakening, a realization, enlightenment. Mm, yeah, there's all sorts of practices that you can do to help you become more aware of your other perceptions or different ways of perceiving the world. Like that's what you said. I think you closed your eyes and you walked around and you try to find the person that you were with. That sounds like a fantastic practice. You can
Yeah.
kind of tell a person's psychic powers by doing tests like that. That's very interesting. Whether people can get you enlightened or group places, yes, absolutely. Anything can get you enlightened in this way. It's not even going to unfavorable places can get you enlightened. I personally have followed the Buddha's teachings and the Buddha's path, and the Buddha kind of doesn't have favorable attitudes towards group and people in that way. I think someone asked him, "Hey, Gautama, is it better to walk with people, be in a group setting, or is it better to walk alone?" And the Buddha, very kind of backhanded compliment, said, "It's better to walk alone than to walk with a stupid person. Better you be alone." I'm not calling people stupid, but difficult. It's very difficult to disentangle yourself from the social situation, social environments. If you're living life joyfully and you're having fun, and people can be a great source of that fun, and people are very joyful. At the same time, There's a reason why these meditation places and people that teach meditation, they say don't talk, don't associate with anybody, just sit still, keep your mouth closed, because talking clouds your mind. It makes you think more, much more. So the more quieter you are, the closer you are to the deeper perceptions of life. And ultimately, that requires ultimate stillness or ultimate calm, which, generally speaking, people and socializing, it takes you away from that. So you can generally notice within yourself that on days that you're talking a lot and you're out in public and mingling with people's energies, it's usually very difficult to meditate afterwards. But if you have a sacred space of your own, and you can become much more meditative as a result of that. So yes, to answer your question, absolutely, it can lead to enlightenment, awakening. I don't see any reason why, but at least in the practices that you're doing, it sounds very focused towards that. But in a general sense, socializing too much can be a hindrance, can be a downside.
And what if it is not organized in like a socializing setting, but uh, you choose actively to do this? For example, you and Leo, and then a couple of YouTube subscribers sit in a circle. Do you think this would things would
Interesting.
start exploding?
Do you think a meaning that we say silent just on a call and let's be quiet?
Let's be quiet and also focus our energies towards the whole of this group of people coming together, which
Mm,
really has a field of its own.
interesting. Yeah, now that you mentioned it, that I do this quite often with people that I talk to face, or people that choose to hire me for the service. We spend some time just being alone or being not talking.
Mhm.
That brings up lots of things. I'm not sure it'd be so advantageous to do this with lots of people in this way because it's very casual. But maybe if we do this in person, like if all of us gather together and we sat quietly, that would definitely have some profound positive effects. Absolutely, it's a very essential, very beneficial.
Mhm. Another thing Teal Swan said is that she thinks we should move back into tribe uh, structures for living, just that humans as a social group would benefit from this. And I think this is also somehow related because this, well, in tribe settings, how I imagine it, there's also strong group consciousness, or at least if there's some level of spirituality in this tribe. Um, and yeah, I've been hearing a lot about this, and I wonder if it might be some kind of new paradigm that is growing in this world to well, I mean, of course we need masters. um, but to just focus and use the energy of a group to to create the power source that we need for spiritual insight somehow.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, pretty sure that we grew up, or human beings evolved out of living in tribes. That's the most natural way of going about it. Do I see myself living in a tribe? I guess the closest thing that I've come to was I stayed in the ashram in New Zealand. That was quite chaotic. And also, I went to the Isha Yoga Center. Um, I'm not sure because it's very also dependent upon the people that you're around. You can't just, oh, come on, guys, everybody's welcome. You're asking for trouble there. So it has to be also something that's conscious. So I'm not sure. I haven't been really I haven't experienced this to its positive effects. And I know Teal Swan is a proponent of this, and she made this happen for the sake of her child. So maybe I'd be curious to see how that is and how that feels, and maybe I'll visit there one day.
It's probably also different as a woman.
In what sense?
Mm, when I think of a tribe, I kind of feel relief because it's a safe setting in which many needs that I feel would be supportive to my life and just even to spiritual process, um, such as, yeah, a sense of safety and being
Yes.
provided for, or don't have to, like, not having to do all of that for myself. Um, and also emotional connection that is, when I imagine in a conscious tribe, that there is a possibility to have emotional connection, but without it being in the social setting in the way that you describe it. Um, Such things I think are helpful to me and
Hmm.
maybe also to other men, but I can see how it doesn't really uh, fit your character or.
Actually, now that I'm thinking back on it, I visited a Buddhist monastery once in New Hampshire, and it was in the forest, and everything was secluded, and there were lots of people there. Lots, maybe 20 people, including monks and other people that are volunteers. And everybody had a strong meditative practice. So there was a feeling of overall calmness and consciousness. And now that I'm thinking back, I like that a lot. And socializing with people, I think this definitely can work if it's, at least me personally, if it's strongly focused towards meditation and spiritual practice, because then the social chaos kind of goes away and you're just with conscious, balanced, calm people, which is very fun. And it's absolutely needed if you're creating something, you need to live with people.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's really what I want to create actually.
Who knows? Maybe it'll happen soon.
Hope so.
You were thinking about something else before we started this call, before we started recording. The fact that ancestral trauma. So, can
Mm-hmm.
you tell us more about this?
Yeah, it comes out of my own experience of the past few weeks. So I moved out recently, and a lot of, well, family situation stuff came up because of this. Um, and I can feel, mm, myself setting myself free from a lot of family dynamics that I had internalized. Um, and then I also recognize that there's a bigger trauma in my family of a person committing suicide, and this is really like something that weighs on every family member. Um, and I actually called. So it's my grandmother. I never met her, but I called her sister today. Never met that woman either, but I want to talk to her to find out who this incognito person is, because she's very, very present in our family, even though we only know her name. Um, and yeah, I think I want to understand more about how this kind of karma works, um, and how to work with it, I think, or how to find what it points to. Mm. And also, my question was if you have such things in your life, and if you have done anything with it.
I'm born in Ukraine, and back in time, there was a certain person close to Ukraine many decades ago that did things in, I don't want to say his name or even mention the country, but essentially he took away the food from the Ukrainian people. It's a very famous um, case study in history. And so lots of people died, and it's called the Holodomor. So at one point in my life, I strongly felt this for about a week. It was just coming up, and wow, I had ancestors that perished in this way, and it's in my blood, it's in my DNA, and it's being purged, it's being released. So there's not, you can do many things, but once this comes up, not much you can do. Just kind of patiently wait until it gets exhausted. And yes, it's absolutely a real thing. So The pain that your father had to go through and your mother and other family relatives, that's also in you. They pass that on. It's your job to kind of purify that.
I know, I'm very aware of this.
Yeah, and
And do you think it makes sense to um, connect to the person herself? Because I've tried this quite impulsively in a meditation. I just kind of called in her presence, and it was just an emotional release of a second, and then the door shut again. It was like,
mm,
no, not ready to fully open.
hmm
Um, and I think it's also a big question for me why our minds or survival system can turn into something that is against itself and really just makes you choose to step out of life. And I've heard people talking about things like, well, connect to their higher selves or talk to their spirits or whatever. So I'm wondering if that's something worth trying.
absolutely, yeah. Sounds like you had a positive or powerful experience. Something you can do is to bring an offering or come with an offering. Fire is usually the best thing to do. So lighting an oil lamp or a candle, that works wonderfully well. And yeah, people undergo lots of pain. Very challenging to live on Earth. Some people have it worse than others, and sometimes the pain is too great. They feel like they can take the easy way out, you can say, or the shortcut. But that's not wise. That leads to more complications in the long term.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, you don't really have a right to this body. It's not really yours. You have it, but it was given to you. So it's not really your life to take in the first place. Not ethical to take other beings' lives, also not ethical to take this. If you can find the door and leave, that's the most sensible way of doing it. You can get away with that. But you have to understand that doing this action, it involves an incredibly large amount of pain and also confusion and delusion. So that's the action that you're doing this with. You're not doing this out of pleasure or bliss or happiness or ecstasy. If you did, then probably it would have some beneficial effects. But the majority of people are doing this out of pain, and that's the action that they're multiplying pain. You will exit out of this life, and pain will follow you. Much more pain than you could ever imagine. So don't do this. Don't do this. But yeah, I'm sure we know everybody that lots of people that did this. I know some friends that did this without risking exposing what we're talking about. Hopefully, most of the viewers are understanding what this is. I have some friends that did this. Dare I say it in a meaningful way, you could say, and that has different effects. But if you're doing this out of pain, that's not wise. Yeah.
But so who's the you who's doing it? That that's against itself or
Um. Uh, I'm not. I don't know. Um. Without getting too complicated, it's just pain. You're facing pain, feeling a great deal of pain, and you want that pain to stop. And you think this is
Mhm.
the ultimate way. There's not really you or you're against yourself. It's just people don't know how to handle their mind, handle their body. So they take the exit violently.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so light and oil lamp come with an offering and talk to her again.
Mm, yeah. I'm sure she'll come.
Hmm. So you purged your family's trauma entirely?
I'd like to say so. I'd like to think so. How much karma is inside of this being? It's not really clear or obvious. Some stuff still can come out. When you think it's everything is done, some things arise. But pretty much everything that needed to arise out of this has most likely already done. So, uh, yeah. So be open to healing, be open to things coming out and surprising you.
Yes. Can you see karma?
Yes, to some extent, and other people as well as in myself. Who you are is your karma, your actions, everything. How your whole system is based on your actions.
Mm-hmm.
Most people have a huge storehouse of energy or memory from lifetimes. That's what enlightenment is you clearing that up. You're removing the storehouse. You want to make it empty. When it's empty, you're all done. So yes.
And do you perceive of the storehouse uh, in other ways than just by observing actions?
Mm, I'm not sure what you mean. Can you elaborate?
Yes. Yeah, do you perceive of the storehouse, well, differently than me? Yes, obviously, but um, I mean, do you need heightened, uh, enhanced perception in some way?
Yes, definitely. If you want to see this, yes, I'm sure you can see this within yourself that, uh, you know, like some tics that you have or memory that's playing out on your body that's not yours. That's very easy to see, but also not really. Most people can't perceive this, or it takes a lot. But yes, this is the very minimal is you seeing the actions that you've sown in the past. It's like in the periphery. Some beings can see the actions that they've done for millions of lifetimes, and they see who they were and how they were. That's a totally different. That's digging super deep. The digger you deep into this, the more there is to uncover, and it never stops. It
Mm-hmm.
appears. So keep digging out there, my friends. Keep going.
So I have a question for you on the former topic about social settings, group settings, and engaging there. So I saw your video about you being the next Sadhguru or modeling after him or wanting to have this kind of esteem and power in the world or the same beneficial role to others, you could also say. And it requires very active engagement with people almost all the time or like very, very frequently. And I'm wondering if you have a plan or uh, ways of facing this for yourself because you're very sensitive and uh, is it just something that you have to accept that you will be overloaded or how would you handle that and are you willing to?
Do I have a plan? Uh, no, not really. Plans have me. That's a more accurate statement. When I make plans, yeah, I have plans for little technical things, but larger plan, I wait and life gives me the plans and then I follow them. So my plan, you could say, is to some the new shift in energy is coming in March. March is the next chapter of whatever this game of life is. So whatever happens after that, we'll see. And dealing with people, yes, people are quite difficult and challenging, and you gotta protect yourself from them, against them. But at the same time, it's not a big deal. You have to deal with people as it's needed. Um, but yeah, I think if you're living in a community that has a strong meditative presence or spiritual place, it's very easy. It's not difficult at all. So, yes, but I've avoided people for the majority of my life because I wanted things internally and still do. So, didn't socialize, didn't really go out much. And that paid off, it seems, and still paying off.
So you'll I hear you saying that you avoid in order to have the internal transformations that you need, and then once that's done, maybe you'll go outside and meet the world.
No, no. I will never go outside or meet the world. That's way past me. But what I do see myself making is I want to make an energetic space for myself. I want to consecrate places. I want to buy land. I want to make a temple. I want to make a nice energetic situation because I'm going to live life very comfortably and very well. And I know that's the science and the secret to make that happen for myself and not only that, for others. And also, when you have an energy space like this, it pulls people towards you, it pulls objects towards you, pulls life, in essence, towards you. It's a very powerful light. People gravitate towards light. So, yeah, this is about living life well, and that's all that I'm trying to do, actually, is live life comfortably, peacefully, well, and enjoy this life, and also, yeah, seek higher knowledge, like Sadhguru.
What higher knowledge are you seeking now?
Well, to be honest, I don't know exactly what this higher knowledge is, but I know it's there. I know I haven't perceived everything or all of it, and that's exactly what I want to do. I know I haven't fully opened this entire or this system out. But to answer your question, or in essence, what I'm saying is Sadhguru often said that he doesn't know anything, he doesn't read books, but what he does know is he knows this piece of life from its ultimate, from its origin to its ultimate. And he said this multiple times. I don't know that. What is the origin of this? What is the ultimate of this? Well, some hints are coming to me, but in its entirety, I don't know, and that makes me a little bit really eager to know. So I'm going in that direction and want to find out what he means by that.
So you're delving into mysticism, actually.
Mysticism, yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Do you think you will share once you know in any way possible?
Absolutely. I'm sharing now, sharing my YouTube
Cool.
page, and fundamentally, people that are looking for spiritual knowledge and enlightenment, they're trying to fulfill themselves. And you absolutely should. You must. Uh, what ways are there to fulfill yourself? Well, if you don't know anything about spirituality or how to live life well, you'll probably fulfill yourself with food or with entertainment or with cigarettes or something else. There's much more efficient ways of fulfilling yourself. Like there's temples here that are consecrated. There are people. Sadhguru was the first person to really satiate my hunger for this. I couldn't get enough of his energy. You know, he's a man, but I was very receptive to him, meaning whatever his energy is, willing for that energy to go into me. And it did, and I've transformed. And at some points, I was seeing my face also transforming. I was looking in the mirror. I'm like, oh my god, this is really working. This is for real. This is no joke. So yeah, all of you out there, you're looking for fulfillment, and where you get it from, in essence, doesn't really matter as long as you do get fulfilled. This life is about fulfillment. So yes, I will share.
Nice. Thank you. Personal question. So last one we talked about liberation. You spoke about death and yeah, death mainly, and then you said also time needs to pass. And as I understand, you can see into the future a bit.
Hmm.
Do you know, like, can you foresee people's enlightenment?
Yes, I can. In a general sense and a broad sense, it's like you're chopping down a tree, Well, I can see. This is how much you've done. This is what you have left. You just continue doing it. It'll happen. Don't worry. So in that way, I can, yes. When I say time needs to pass because you're chopping down this tree and this is how much you have left, you can become very vigorous and exhaust yourself and finish this today. Are you going to do that? Probably not. Just being honest. But if you just consistently go about this every day, continue focusing or continuing allowing this to happen, no doubt it'll happen. The tree will fall. So in that way, yes, I can predict people's enlightenment.
Hmm. There's no point in saying when.
Maybe if it gives people some comfort, I'll say it, but in essence, no, not really. I'll make a general and wild prediction. By for sure, by this before you end this life, you'll get the realization that you're looking for. So I'll say that.
Yeah, I was convinced of that already.
Yes, okay, good.
Hmm. Do you have more topics you want to talk about?
Mm, yeah, buy my spiritual products if you're watching. The Rudraksha, spiritual beads. I'll have much more things for sale as my life goes on. I'll be the next Amazon, very successful. And yes, if you have other questions, I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, we'll leave it as it is.
I do have one more question. It's also personal. So I'm talking on YouTube, just sharing things. Um, do you have a sense of direction of what would be valuable for me to talk about or share? Because I have, of course, intuitions for myself or things that come up, and yeah.
Yes, you should you should share yourself first and foremost. And any intuition, any insight, any desire, topic you want to discuss, you also talk about that. I don't have any suggestions because I don't know better than you what needs to come out of you. Just share yourself.
Hmm.
Well, that being said, my friends, thank you very much for watching. See you next time.